It's the moment fans of Welcome to Plathville have been bracing for, but not everyone saw it coming this way. A relationship that once looked like a fresh start suddenly unraveled. A fan-favorite cast member known for confidence, independence, and growth is now facing a deeply personal reset. And in the Season 8 premiere, viewers aren't just watching a breakup, they're witnessing a turning point. Micah Plath, often seen as the calm, grounded sibling navigating life outside his family's strict upbringing, is now opening up about the end of his relationship with Veronica. But what really happened between them? And more importantly, what does this reveal about who Micah is becoming? Because this isn't just about heartbreak. It's about identity, independence, and the emotional cost of rewriting your life after walking away from everything you once knew. Stay with us, because what unfolds in this premiere is more than reality TV drama. It's a raw, revealing chapter in a story millions of Americans have been following for years. To understand why this moment matters, you have to understand who Micah Plath is and where he comes from. Micah rose to national attention through Welcome to Plathville, a reality series centered around the Plath family, known for their ultra-conservative lifestyle in rural Georgia. The family's strict rules, limited exposure to modern culture, restricted technology, and a deeply controlled environment created a unique upbringing that immediately captivated viewers across the United States. But as the show evolved, so did Micah. Unlike some of his siblings who struggled more visibly with the transition, Micah emerged as someone eager to explore the outside world. He pursued modeling, relocated away from the family home, and began crafting an identity that felt distinctly separate from his upbringing. That journey, leaving behind control and stepping into independence, resonated with audiences. It wasn't just entertainment. It reflected a broader American narrative about breaking free from restrictive environments and finding your own path. And then came Veronica. While details about their relationship were never overly publicized compared to other cast dynamics, fans began to see glimpses of a more personal side of Micah. This wasn't just about career moves or family conflict anymore. It was about emotional vulnerability, connection, and what it means to build something new after leaving everything old behind. So when news of their breakup surfaced in the Season 8 premiere, it didn't feel like just another storyline. It felt like a setback in a journey people were rooting for. In the Season 8 premiere, Micah addresses the breakup directly, calm, reflective, but undeniably affected. According to what's shown in the episode, the split between Micah and Veronica appears to have been recent enough that the emotional impact is still fresh. He doesn't lean into dramatics. Instead, he speaks with a level of maturity that suggests he's been processing this privately for some time. He acknowledges that relationships can be complicated, especially when both individuals are growing and changing. While he doesn't assign blame publicly, there's a clear sense that timing, personal priorities, and life direction all played a role. Sources surrounding the show and its production have not indicated any scandal or controversy tied to the breakup. Instead, what viewers are seeing aligns with something more grounded in reality, two people whose paths may no longer align. And that's what makes this moment feel real. Micah goes on to share updates about his life post-breakup. He appears focused on personal growth, career direction, and maintaining a sense of emotional balance. Rather than presenting himself as lost or spiraling, he emphasizes moving forward. But beneath that composure, there's something else, something quieter. A recognition that even for someone who has already gone through major life transitions, heartbreak still hits. And it still changes you. From a broader perspective, what we're seeing in Micah's storyline fits into a larger pattern often observed in reality television and in real life. Psychologists frequently note that individuals who grow up in highly controlled environments may experience delayed emotional development in certain areas, particularly when it comes to relationships. When they finally step into independence, they're not just navigating adulthood, they're learning it in real time. Micah's journey reflects that. His breakup with Veronica may not be about failure, but rather about evolution. As people grow, their needs, values, and expectations shift, and sometimes relationships that once felt right no longer fit. From a media standpoint, This kind of storyline adds depth to Welcome to Plathville. It moves beyond surface-level drama and into something more meaningful, personal transformation. There's also a cultural layer here. American audiences are increasingly drawn to authenticity in reality TV. Manufactured conflict is often rejected, while genuine emotional experiences, like heartbreak, growth, and self-discovery, tend to resonate more deeply. Micah's situation taps directly into that. It's not about spectacle. It's about relatability. Almost immediately after the premiere aired, social media platforms lit up with reactions. Fans expressed a mix of surprise, support, and curiosity. Some admitted they didn't even realize how serious Micah and Veronica had become, while others shared disappointment, saying they were hoping to see the relationship develop further. There's also a noticeable divide in how viewers interpret the situation. Some believe Micah is simply continuing his journey of self-discovery, and that the breakup is a natural part of that process. Others question whether his lifestyle changes, moving, career focus, independence, may have made it difficult to maintain a stable relationship. But across the board, one sentiment stands out. People care. They're invested in Micah not just as a reality TV personality, but as a person navigating real-life challenges. And in today's media landscape, that kind of connection is powerful. Looking ahead, this moment could mark a significant turning point, not just for Micah, but for the direction of the show itself. For Micah, the breakup may lead to deeper self-reflection. It could influence how he approaches future relationships, how he balances personal and professional goals, and how he defines stability in his life. At its core, this story resonates because it's universal. Breakups happen. Plans change. People outgrow situations they once believed in. But when you add Micah's background into the equation, the strict upbringing, the dramatic shift into independence, the pressure of living life on camera, it becomes something more intense. This isn't just a relationship ending. It's another layer of transformation. For viewers, especially those who have experienced similar transitions in their own lives, there's something deeply relatable here. The idea of leaving one version of yourself behind, only to face unexpected challenges in the next phase, that's something many Americans understand. And perhaps that's why Micah's story continues to hold attention. Because it's not perfect. It's real. As this season of Welcome to Plathville unfolds, one question remains at the center of it all. What's next for Micah Plath? Do you think this breakup will ultimately help him grow? Or is it a sign that he's still searching for stability in a life that's changed so quickly? We want to hear your perspective. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and if you're following this story as closely as we are, make sure you stay connected, because this season is just getting started, and the biggest moments may still be ahead. As the story continues to unfold in Season 8 of Welcome to Plathville, what becomes increasingly clear is that Micah Plath's journey has never been linear, and perhaps it was never meant to be. To fully grasp the emotional weight behind this breakup, you have to go back, not just to the beginning of his relationship with Veronica, but to the very foundation of who Micah is. Raised in an environment where romantic relationships were tightly controlled and often discouraged until a certain level of readiness, Micah entered adulthood without the same relational experiences that many of his peers had already navigated. That matters. Because when someone begins exploring relationships later in life, especially after breaking away from a highly structured upbringing, those experiences can feel intensified. Every connection carries more meaning. Every conflict feels more significant. And every ending like this one can hit harder than it might for someone with a more conventional dating history. Micah's evolution on the show has reflected a broader American theme. What happens when you leave behind a life that defined you and attempt to rebuild from scratch? We've watched him step into modeling, adapt to new cities, and embrace a lifestyle that once would have been unimaginable within his family's framework. And along the way, viewers have seen flashes of both confidence and uncertainty, moments where he seems completely sure of who he is, followed by quieter scenes that suggest he's still figuring it out. Veronica, in that context, wasn't just a partner. She represented stability, connection, a sense of normalcy in a life that had been anything but predictable. So when that relationship ends, it doesn't just create a gap in his personal life, it raises a deeper question. Is Micah still searching for where he truly belongs? As the premiere episode progresses, the tone surrounding Micah's breakup becomes more layered and more revealing. He doesn't present the situation as sudden or explosive. Instead, what viewers see is a gradual realization. According to what is shown and discussed on the episode, the relationship appears to have faced challenges over time, with both individuals navigating their own personal growth. Micah hints at differences in lifestyle and direction. While he doesn't go into explicit detail, his words suggest that maintaining alignment became increasingly difficult. This is consistent with what relationship experts often describe as divergent growth, a situation where two people evolve in ways that no longer complement each other. There are also subtle emotional cues. Moments where Micah pauses before speaking. Instances where his tone shifts slightly, indicating that while he has accepted the breakup, he hasn't completely detached from its impact. Importantly, there are no confirmed reports of conflict, betrayal, or external controversy tied to the split. This appears to be, at least based on available information, a mutual or respectful separation, one rooted in personal change rather than dramatic fallout. But that doesn't make it easier. In fact, in many ways, those kinds of breakups can be harder to process. There's no clear villain, no singular moment to point to, just a quiet understanding that something that once worked no longer does. Micah's post-breakup update focuses heavily on forward momentum. He talks about staying busy, maintaining focus, and continuing to build his life. And while that may sound like a typical response, the context makes it more meaningful. Because for Micah, moving forward has always required letting go of something behind him. First, it was his upbringing. Now, it's this relationship. From a psychological perspective, Micah's situation offers a compelling case study in identity reconstruction. When individuals leave highly structured or restrictive environments, they often go through multiple phases of self-discovery. Initially, there's a period of exploration, trying new things, meeting new people, and experiencing a level of freedom that was previously unavailable. But after that comes a more complex phase. Integration. That's where Micah appears to be now. He's no longer just reacting against his past. He's trying to define a sustainable version of his future. And relationships play a critical role in that process. Experts suggest that during this phase, relationships can either accelerate growth or highlight unresolved tensions. In Micah's case, the breakup may indicate that he's still refining what he needs from a partner and what he can offer in return. From a media analysis standpoint, this storyline reflects a shift in how reality television is consumed in the United States. Audiences are increasingly drawn to narratives that feel authentic, even if they're less dramatic. The absence of scandal in Micah's breakup doesn't make it less compelling. It arguably makes it more relatable. There's also a broader cultural context to consider. Younger generations in America are redefining relationships. There's less emphasis on permanence at all costs and more focus on personal alignment and emotional well-being. Ending a relationship because it no longer fits is no longer seen as failure. It's often viewed as growth. A recurring theme in the online discussion is empathy. Many fans are expressing support, noting that Micah appears to be handling the situation with maturity. Others are sharing their own experiences, drawing parallels between his journey and their own lives. But there's also curiosity. Questions about Veronica remain. What exactly led to the breakup? Were there warning signs? Could this have been avoided? Without confirmed answers, speculation naturally fills the gaps. However, it's important to note that much of this remains unverified, and responsible coverage requires sticking to what is actually known. What is clear is that Micah's story is resonating. And in a media environment saturated with content, that kind of engagement is significant. Looking ahead, the implications of this breakup extend beyond Micah's personal life. For him, this could be a defining moment, a chance to recalibrate and move forward with greater clarity. It may influence the kind of relationships he pursues in the future, as well as how he balances emotional connection with personal independence. Professionally, Micah's continued presence on Welcome to Plathville suggests that viewers will have a front-row seat to this next phase of his journey. And if early reactions are any indication, there's strong interest in seeing how he evolves. For the show itself, this storyline reinforces its relevance. Reality television often thrives on conflict, but longevity comes from depth. By focusing on real-life transitions like Micah's breakup, the series continues to offer something more meaningful than surface-level drama. There's also the possibility that this moment could open the door for new dynamics within the show. How will Micah interact with his family now? Will this experience bring him closer to certain siblings or create new tensions? These are the questions that will likely shape the rest of the season. The heart of this story is something deeply human. Letting go. For Micah, that's been a recurring theme. Letting go of a controlled upbringing. Letting go of expectations. And now, letting go of a relationship that once held promise. Each time, the stakes feel different, but the emotional core remains the same. There's a quiet strength in how he's handling it. No public outbursts. No dramatic accusations. Just a steady acknowledgement that life is changing, and he has to change with it. For viewers, especially those who have gone through similar experiences, that kind of resilience is powerful. Because it reflects something real. Not perfection. Not certainty. But growth. As we move deeper into this season of Welcome to Plathville, Micah's journey is clearly far from over. And that raises an important question. Is this breakup just another step in his evolution, or could it be the moment that truly defines who he becomes next? We want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Micah is on the right path? Or do you see signs that he's still searching for something he hasn't quite found yet? Join the conversation, share your perspective, and stay with us, because if this premiere is any indication, Season May 8th be the most revealing chapter yet. As the Season 8 premiere of Welcome to Plathville continues to settle in with audiences across the United States, something unusual begins to stand out, not in what Micah Plath says, but in what he doesn't say. Because sometimes, in reality television, the most revealing moments are not the dramatic confrontations or emotional confessions. They're the pauses, the hesitations, the brief flickers of vulnerability that slip through an otherwise composed exterior. And that's exactly what viewers are noticing. Micah's demeanor throughout the episode is calm, controlled, and thoughtful. But beneath that composure, there's an undercurrent. Something that suggests this breakup may have impacted him more deeply than he's willing, or perhaps able, to fully articulate on camera. That restraint is important. It reflects a kind of emotional processing that doesn't always translate easily to television. Not everyone grieves loudly. Not everyone explains their pain in detail. And for someone like Micah, who has spent years navigating massive life changes in the public eye, that internalization may be both a coping mechanism and a reflection of personal growth. But